Welcome back to Second Chance. Happy New Year's to everyone. Welcome to our IG Nephropathy panel. My name is Philip Jones, host of Second Chance.
And my name is Tafaro Cook, two-time kidney transplant recipient and founder of Kidney Care Coaches, where we coach people with stage 3 to stage 5 kidney disease. If you or you know someone who has kidney disease challenges, hit us up at kidneycarecoaches.com.
Awesome. Great to see you again, Mr.
Great to be
First
seen.
off, Webster, hope you feeling better. She couldn't make it. Her and her daughter came down with something a little under the weather currently. Two awesome patients today. Introduce yourselves. We go ahead and start off with Kristin.
Hi, I'm Kristin. Don't really know what to say. Did you want like the full story? Yeah. Okay. I got my IGA diagnosis 1 year ago. It was a lot to take in. Actually, in Thanksgiving of 2021 is when I found out I had kidney disease and went into the hospital. It was a shock. I had no idea when I went to the hospital that they were going to tell me that my kidneys were failing. I went in there thinking I had the flu and found out I had nearly no blood in my body and that I was in stage 5 kidney failure. Since then, it's been a struggle with different forms of dialysis and, just really accepting it all, taking it all in, getting on the transplant list. But I'm still here, doing good.
Cool. Welcome, Kristin. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Alex Berrios. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I am a one-time kidney transplant recipient, currently looking to get a second kidney. I currently do modality of in-center hemodialysis 3 days a week. I did peritoneal dialysis for about a year and found that really quickly that wasn't for me. It just didn't fit my lifestyle. In my situation with IGA, I found out I had it with my transplanted kidney in probably year 10 of my transplant. I had acute kidney rejection episode, and I was in the hospital with just numbers were kind of getting out of whack. And so they did a biopsy of my kidney, my transplanted kidney, and it was there where they saw the IGA. And so I'm still learning a lot about IGA myself and figuring out the foods to kind of stay away from and and just being and just trying to be mindful of just some of the medicines I need to kind of watch for as well. And I'm still, like I said earlier, learning to kind of figure out, in my case, finding it in a transplanted kidney and not early, like most folks I've heard find out they have IGA. A lot of times they get it with an early sometimes they kind of find it early enough where they don't have to go on dialysis and their kidneys aren't failing, but they still have it. And so that's kind of where I've seen things failing.
Tafari, you got to go ahead with the first.
Yeah, Kristin, what was your first symptoms? You said you thought you had the flu?
Yeah, so really it all began around in 2020. And my first symptom was fatigue. I was tired all the time. But I had just had a kid and I figured, oh, I'm a new mom. I blew it off as nothing, And then, with being stuck in the house with COVID, I was like, well, I'm depressed. It's depression. And for like a good year and a half, that was my main symptom. And then as probably in the beginning of October in 2021, I started coughing really bad. And again, I didn't think much of it because I have asthma, and I've had, episodes where my asthma was bad and I coughed all the time. And then I started coughing up blood. And that really should have been like my first sign to go to the doctor. But my asthma doctor has told me before, if you cough up blood and it's red, you probably just burst a blood vessel in your throat and, you're fine. But then it started being like an everyday thing of coughing up blood. And then it was like brown. And I was getting more and more weak. I could barely walk like 10 feet without being like out of breath.
Right.
And like I've had like numerous episodes of bronchitis and different things. So I honestly thought like, oh, I have bronchitis. So Thanksgiving morning, I went into the emergency room because like I was planning on cooking dinner. And I was like, well, I need to go get some of my antibiotics and maybe get a breathing treatment and, go home and I'll cook. But I went in and immediately they started, running an EKG, checking me for sepsis because, they couldn't believe like just how everything was, my blood pressure and everything. So they started doing all sorts of labs, chest x-rays and everything. And I was probably waiting around like a good 2 hours. And the doctor comes in and he's like, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And he's like, you're in kidney failure and you have like no blood in your body. And he's like, did you come in by ambulance? And I told him like, no, I walked in. And he's like, well, you're the Walking Dead. And he told me that he's like, we're keeping you. They gave me 7 pints of blood because my hemoglobin was like a 2. Mm-hmm. And I stayed there for 6 days. I had the kidney biopsy done at the hospital. And then I found out at my first appointment with my kidney doctor that I had IgA.
Let me ask you this, though. Did you have any signs of swelling in the lower legs, anything like that at first? Did you have any that you could remember? Because sometimes people get it and they don't even recall it. So,
I can't remember like sometimes having swelling, but like as a hairdresser and standing like all day long, like, it's not really something that I'm like, oh, like it didn't seem too abnormal. Yeah.
Let me ask you another question. With your hemoglobin going down to 2, because Kristin, you're going to find this out, and you probably know by now that the kidneys regulate the hemoglobin. They help support it and things like that. So your red blood cells. With that being said, could you tell your energy was deteriorating like a couple months before, or maybe a year or 6 months before?
Yeah, so like around 2020 is when I really started feeling like the fatigue. And then probably the summer of 2021 is when like I was just like, constantly. Had no energy for anything.
Yeah. Alex, this goes to you. Was your first kidney, what was your diagnosis with your first transplant?
So my first transplant, there was really no, I was only born with one kidney. They found out with my native kidney. So there's not anything definitively to know what made it cause it to fail, other than having been born only with the one, that it lasted for the 26 years I had it up until that point. Right. And then the IGA came in, like I said, with the transplant. So we're still to this day, I don't have any really kind of clear reason as to where the IGA came from or why it didn't, there could be an assumption made that it was in the native kidney, but nothing was ever, they didn't biopsy back then.
Right. Right.
So, I don't know.
I'm surprised they didn't biopsy you back then because, when I got sick when I was 18, and I'm much older now than that. But the question I got for you is, I'm surprised they didn't biopsy you back then. Especially when you was going through it,
Yeah, they just really didn't ultrasound to see. Like, I remember, so my story kind of started where, like, I thought I had the flu, similar, Kristin, to what you said. Like,
I was in a heart failure. That's the number one.
Yeah. So I thought I had the flu and was feeling really, really bad, and went in and when, matter of fact, like, I went into the hospital or went to an immediate care clinic because I was like, I wasn't feeling great, and my fiance at the time wasn't feeling well either. She went to go ahead and get some stuff done for herself medically to get taken care of. We didn't have any insurance, and they were doing free blood pressure screenings, and my blood pressure was 210 over 130. It was like super high, and like the doctors and everyone was like, "Are you gonna stroke out?" And what was funny is that day, I felt fine. The day before it was a Sunday. I went that Saturday. I was working and I felt like complete crud. Like they talk about fatigue. I had like dry mouth. Was heavy. Like everything was just heavy feeling, and that's what I thought was the flu. And so then I went and checked my blood pressure, and that's when it was. That's what it was. So then they laid me down in a dark room. They gave me medicine, like to see if it'll bring it down. It didn't bring it down. They're like, you need to go to the ER like ASAP. So proceeded to go to the ER for 2 or 3 days. Ran a crap load of tests, like everything. Like I said, they did the ultrasound, did a lot of blood, and then from there, they found out like I had kidney failure and that I need to start dialysis within a couple of weeks, pretty soon.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, man. Let me ask you this though: as far as your treatment, Alex, did they give you like any hardcore treatments, like load you up with prednisone and all those things like that?
They did. They gave me a boatload of prednisone, and I was on prednisone the first time around, and not this time around, but the first time around for the first almost a full solid year while I was on dialysis and stuff like that, and then when I was transplanted to help keep the transplant from failing in the year 10, when I found out I had IgA, they gave me what did they use? They gave me the
Sandramuril.
Solomedrol.
Solomedrol. Sorry, I can't pronounce it right.
Yeah, Solomedrol. They gave me some Solomedrol, and that helps.
Three doses of it. 3 big doses of it.
Yeah. Yep. They gave that to me, and then that helped for a little while, but then eventually it was at that point where it was still just like anti-rejection mediated something is what they called it when it was found that to be failing.
It could be remembrance. Was it anti-rejection remembrance? Because there's there's an antibody in IFGA that it's called second membrance, and it's an antibody that can affect the IgA also.
Really?
And I talk to doctors all the time, and they're learning as we go, and they just found out about this antibody probably like 5 years ago.
That
can attack also, and it's called a second, and it's like a second. So sometimes when you go to the doctor, the doctor should know now that check for this antibody also.
Got it. I bet they do. Yeah.
And like I said, there's new information coming out all the time that we're finding out and stuff like that. So this is one of them. It's called membrance. IgA. Yeah. So.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Yeah. So I mean So ultimately, that was more or less my story. I mean, had a bunch of tests done, and like I said, when I was transplanted. For the first 10 years, it was great, and then it was really the last 2.5 to 3 numbers started to kind of get wonky, and that's when they did the biopsy and found it, and then gave me the plasma free. They gave me the IVIG as well, in addition to the Solomedrol, to help keep it at bay. But again, it lasted only maybe 6 more months before it was time for me to go back on dialysis.
What was your taper on your prednisone? Do you remember what they started you on when they were trying to?
I don't remember. Yeah, I know they tapered me. Yeah, I can't remember. It was such a long time ago. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about the situation with all of us. We can all have a kidney problem, and what I see across the board, and I've worked with Ohio State University, I've worked with University of Cincinnati, I work with John Hopkins. I'm working with Tampa General Hospital. I've also worked with Cleveland Clinic. And with all these hospitals across the country, they're treating patients with a broad brush. Everybody's getting the same treatment. And I have a challenge with that. And the reason why I have a challenge with it is because all 4 of us is different. we've all experienced kidney disease
in different ways. Yeah,
and our bodies are different. But if we go to the hospital, we'll all get treated the same way.
that is
And
interesting.
I just have a challenge with that. And I tell them all the time, they're looking at me like, well, Tafaro, what should we do? I was like, well, first of all,
you're the doctor.
treat us with, with some difference somewhere. I mean,
yeah.
Excuse my dog.
Right.
Man just came. But Biggie, okay, leave it, Biggie. But the point I'm making is, again, how are we getting all treated the same way when we all have different diseases and our bodies all work different? And maybe that's for another
conversation,
another conference, or another thing. But I'm gonna stay on task. Go ahead, Phil. You know me; I can keep on talking forever. So.
He looks like he's frozen. Oh no, there he is. Okay.
I think you're muted, Phil.
I think you're muted, buddy. Yeah.
Phil, I think you're muted. You're muted, Phil.
You there, Philip?
Phil, you okay?
Okay.
Well, let me say something before Phil gets back on. Okay. Again, man, like I said, I work with clients throughout the country, and I work with clients that have all stages. And the reason why I could tell you, Alex, what was going on is because with my first kidney, when it rejected, they gave me I did a plasmapheresis. I did the most plasmapheresis than anybody in the country. 55 treatments, which is quite a bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I hold the record at Johns Hopkins with that. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but going through so much of it, you would have thought somebody would have, not made it. Hey, long story short, I see it across the board, and when I work with these hospitals, I question it. I go, why can't we, have some difference? And they're like, well, this is the treatment we give, and that's where the conversation stops. And I hate to say that, but let's go back to you, Kristin. Are you on dialysis now?
Yeah, I'm on hemodialysis. I do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I go from like 10 to 2.
Okay.
But with like what you're saying, like it's kind of frustrating because I've talked to my doctor several times about trying different things if there's anything else to try, because I've done I'm on prednisone. They started me off on 40 milligrams, and I'm now down to 5. And it seems like they don't even want to try anything else. Like that's it. That's our treatment. It's like we're gonna stick with it. It's not doing anything, but we're gonna stick with it.
I agree with you on some of those things, and I have reached out to some herbalist type of people who deal with kidney disease, and they've told me about some great supplements that can help you when you're on dialysis and can help the kidney thrive if you're going through some challenges, and if you're just on stage 2 or 3 or 3 or 4, that can prolong the kidney. And one thing I want to say, one of the biggest factors in all kidney disease is inflammation. Inflammation across the board is huge. And that's why you will see anytime we have a rejection, they load us up with prednisone. The only challenge with prednisone, it has so many bad side effects. Yeah. And it can deteriorate the other parts of the body, but yeah, it might help the inflammation go down. So it's like kind of a catch-22 where you're getting some, but you're also getting some bad also. So it's like, okay, but there are some natural ways to, help us. I can honestly say, and I've been using some of them, and they've been working, and I've been giving them to some of my clients also, and they've been helping also. So maybe we can talk about, one day have a conference where we talk about some natural healing modalities that can help people that are on dialysis and help people that are on maybe stage 4 to 1 to 4 or wherever like that. And like I said, with the data that I've been using with kidney care coaches, I've been seeing some improvements with these natural holistic supplements. And like Kristin said earlier, your diet, which is really, really important as well.
Yeah.
One thing we see when we're on dialysis, the biggest thing is our phosphorus being high. That's why I have to be really, really.
I was just talking about that earlier.
Yeah, the phosphorus is big. Really critical of when you're. And what I see when it comes to phosphorus is when you eat natural foods, the body accepts phosphorus in a different way. But when you eat like refined carbohydrates, anything out of a box, when you eat cereals, potato chips, Doritos, things like that, your body's going to get attacked with the phosphorus. And anytime you have any foods like that, the phosphorus becomes the first thing that's going to hit the body, especially when the kidneys aren't working. So that's what I'm telling you is really, really critical that we eat natural foods that can definitely help us in these situations. Fruits and vegetables, things like that. And also taking those binders, because that's very, very important as well. Just wanted to say that.
They need to. I'm going to speak to that about the phosphorus binders. I've had an opportunity to be a part of a conversation with a pharmaceutical company that's trying to create a medication where instead of it being the big binders that are the big horse pill ones, they want to do a small one, and it's only once or twice a day, and you don't have to take it with food. So I know they're in their stages of trying to get that approved and stuff. But I know that somebody told me that the side effect of it was diarrhea. And so you're like, well, okay. I mean, I would rather I'd take it. I mean, I would rather take that, have the diarrhea, than have to always make sure I'm taking it with food. If I could just take it on an empty stomach, that's great. Or a sip of water. I mean, it'd be a lot easier than taking the pills that they are.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from with that. The only challenge with that, like you said, and that goes back to an individual thing. Some people can handle diarrhea. Some people, like when it comes, it's dehydrating.
Yeah, it is.
So, but hopefully, thanks for sharing that with us, because hopefully we see these new things coming out. The only challenge I see is from me when I first started getting the transplant to now.
Conversation, brother.
I still see people. I still see the hospitals using the same way they treat everybody, and it's been for the last 25 years.
So I think
Go ahead, Phil. Was you saying something?
I was in and out with my value math switching around browsers. But he kind of touched on.
Hey, Phil, your microphone's going in and out.
Alex kind of touched on.
Is his microphone going in and out?
Okay. Yeah.
Medications and stuff like that that he had to take. Kristin, let's talk about what medication you may have taken when you found out that you had IgA. Was there
the medications that I was first diagnosed with, like with the 40 milligrams of prednisone, and I was on 40 for a few months, And then they started tapering it in about July. And then they tapered it down to 5. I'm on 5 now. And then besides that, it's just like blood pressure medications. I'm on 2 different blood pressure medications, Losartan and I can never remember the other one. It's like a hydralazine or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I take turmeric because turmeric's anti-inflammatory, and I feel better when I take like the turmeric because I also have lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, and they're also like inflammation diseases. So I really try to keep the inflammation down. Also try to eat like the autoimmune protocol because that also helps. When I was diagnosed, I cut out all like processed food, all soda, all fast food, everything like that. I try to eat, healthy. But like as far as medication, the only thing they've tried is the prednisone. I mean, in the beginning, she talked to me about the possibility of doing chemotherapy drugs, but since then, I've talked to her again, and she just wants to stick with the prednisone.
What I recommend also, anybody on dialysis, make sure you get on different transplant lists. Very, very important if you can. If you have if you have a center near you that you're on, if you have a couple of centers that's not too far away, and you might have to call them and save up and everything because you might have to fly out there. Because that's what I did with my second transplant. From Ohio. I went to Baltimore, Maryland. I had a fundraiser. And I got in touch with Johns Hopkins University because of the simple fact that I needed to be on several transplant lists. So what I did was I had a fundraiser. I saved up my money in case I had to stay there for a period of time and things like that. And some of these things you have to do just on your own. Like you have to get a team up or, do them yourself, save up money and be like, hey, I got this money saved up in case I have to fly here and get a transplant. They call me, I can jump on this flight and get a transplant at these other places. So be mindful of that sometimes, the center that you are at can have you waiting forever. Because I waited, close to over 10 years to get my transplant, my second one. Yeah. And so that's when I reached out to Johns Hopkins about their program, and I got accepted with their program. So I just want to just put that out there. Don't hesitate to get on another list if you can, or just look into it and see what's available for you.
I have 2 different questions. One, Kristin, for you, for the turmeric. How do you take it? Do you take it like in a pill form, or what? Is it with water?
Yes, I take it in a pill form.
Okay.
I've tried the gummies, but they'll stay in your teeth. Like I take the pill form.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, and then for you, with your second transplant, did you have high antibodies? What was your PRA?
I have very, very high antibodies. The second transplant, correct? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so did they give you anything to help desensitize you at all, or bring you down, or no?
Yeah, that was when I had to go through the plasmapheresis. I did a lot of it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Because I'm right now. Here's my situation. Right. So I'm listed at the University of Cincinnati and the University of Kentucky, is where I'm listed right now. And my UC has a protocol that uses desensitization to bring it down, but UK doesn't. But I have people who are testing to do indirect donations, so the paired exchange, or through there's a National Kidney Registry that helps people like myself, people like you, like who have harder chances to get those kidneys with a high antibody of 99 or higher. And so I have been working with those 2 centers, but I know that like right now I have a voucher. I've just signed a consent voucher to get a kidney from somebody indirectly, so that person can then on their timeline donate it when they want to donate, and then then once that person donates the kidney, my time is on the clock to then be able to, for that company, the NKR, to find me a kidney, because it's that much harder to find it because I have a 99.97 PRA. And 100% is obviously the worst. So my so they always say, how I understand the PRA number is that if there's 100 kidneys in a room with your kidney like blood type, and then your blood type, and then 100 people like 0.3 people there might be a chance you might have a high probability that somebody would match with you. So it's like a needle in a haystack to get the kidney. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I have a couple. I've been listed for 2.5 years, like I said, right now, and hopefully I'll get some responses or something here soon as well.
Yeah, that you're doing it the right way, man, for sure. It's crazy with the antibodies, how high they can be and what can happen, because even with the antibodies that are high, you still could find somebody, especially in the kidney swap, that has a perfect match to you.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
you know.
Well, that gives me hope because mine's like an 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You still could find somebody with like I said, you still could find somebody with a perfect match kidney, and you won't have to go through any of the plasmapheresis.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping, like I said, if I can find the indirect and get somebody. I've heard and talked to many patients who've gone through the same program I'm doing, where like somebody who didn't maybe match them directly, indirectly donated, and then that person was able to get a kidney within a month to anywhere from 3 weeks to a year that quickly, because they're able to find that kidney. So a gentleman I'm working with now, he told me he has a tentative surgery date of January 24th. So he'll donate his kidney, and then once he donates that, then I'm on the clock to hopefully get a kidney sooner than that. So we'll see. Yeah.
Let me ask you something, Alex. What was your experience like with plasmapheresis?
Honestly, don't remember it that well. I mean, I was scared because my kidney was failing. So like, I remember I was in the hospital with it, and they just kind of gave it to me like through an IV. So there was not really anything that I thought there was no pain associated with it. It was just kind of going through the IV, and I was just hoping it was going to save the kidney, but nothing really too crazy. I had to wait for insurance to get it approved. But yeah, I mean, nothing physically, nothing that bad.
Okay. Yeah, one thing I noticed, and everybody I've talked to who's had, how many treatments did you have? Do you remember?
Maybe 5 or 10, 5 or 8, not a lot. I mean, not compared to you. I mean, yeah. Not many.
Anybody I know that had, significant amount, start seeing it be painful. That's my experience. Like after a while, you could feel the pulling. You could feel the pulling of the plasma from the blood.
Really?
Totally different from dialysis, where you can read a book on dialysis and go to sleep. It was not like that. And then a lot of vomiting.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it was painful because it was a total. When I first got on it, I thought my first thought process was, oh, okay, it's gonna be like dialysis. They use my fistula and everything.
Yeah.
No, it was kind of critical. So that's why I asked you. I asked anybody else who's ever had it.
Yeah. No, my experience wasn't that. It didn't hurt at all. Now, if I had had more treatment, maybe it would have been bad. But I don't remember it hurting. Like you said, no pain.
Right, Kristin, I think you'll be fine because you haven't had a transplant yet. So your antibodies is a different type of antibody. Now, if your body was like built up like Alex's or mine's, who are Phil, who already had a kidney, then they got to worry about the antibodies from that kidney. But you don't have any antibodies that can attack because you just have your native kidneys right now. So you don't have to worry.
I think their biggest thing was because I had the 7 blood transfusions.
The transfusion,
that's why.
And you got
the transfusions can be different,
and pregnancy, and she's
pregnancy too. Right, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so those things can make it a little different. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I stand corrected on that. Sorry about that, but yeah. Okay. Phil?
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're back. Good.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So I was sitting there like, damn, I'm going to be silent this whole goddamn show. This is gonna be But no, real quick, we're gonna go to a commercial, and then I'll come back with some questions, and then we'll let Tafaro take over from there.
Okay.
Welcome back to a Second Chance. So my question is for Kristin. Like Alex, we've talked to you on a number of occasions. And we know you have a fiance, you have kids, you have a great support group. Kristin, what's your support group been like since you found out that you were dealing with kidney disease?
Sorry, my dog's going crazy. But since I found out I had kidney disease, I became a single mom, and I moved in with my mom and my stepdad, and they helped me with my girls so I can go to dialysis and all of that. But mainly is like family, my sisters, my mom especially. But also like my sister is a nurse, and she went with me to like my first appointments and was with me. Um, Thankfully, she was with me because hearing I had IgA and that it was incurable and everything, like I started hyperventilating and crying under my mask. So she was there asking all the right questions and taking notes. Like she's a big advocate for me. Um, but like my family and friends have been great. And then I started my Instagram page, to share my story. And through that, I have met so many people. I'm so thankful, honestly, for social media because like it's gotten me in connection with you, Philip, with so many other people. And like you don't feel alone. Like, when you first find out, it's hard to accept. But then when you meet all these other people with similar stories, going through the same thing, like it's amazing, honestly. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
having support with you when you. I mean, yeah, I'm sure Mr. Cook and Alex know they were a little bit older when they were diagnosed. I can't speak on that because I was 4 when I found out.
Oh wow.
So I've always kind of had that support, throughout time. But we tell people all the time, when you go to appointments like that, it takes, especially if you're not somebody that can comprehend what the doctor is telling you all the time. Take somebody with you. Have them take notes. Record it on your phone, whatever the case may be, so you can, maybe go to somebody like Mr. Cook or something and say, "Hey, this is what my doctor told me. Help me out with trying to strategically place this in my life and the correct way to use it." So kudos to you on taking your sister with you, and kudos to her for going with you and being an advocate for you in that time that you needed her
Yeah.
to ask those questions. Um, I did have one more question and it just left. Um, so what was your transition? I mean, myself, Mr. Cook, Alex, we've been through this before. With the transplant thing the first time. What was your life transition like, going from just living this normal life to now having to live a life of being in kidney failure with, having to change your diet, having to change your physical activity, upping it really, because that's how, we like to say, it's better to be physically active, and push you in a better place, especially with transplant. But looking for a transplant, they want you in the best shape as possible, to receive that transplant. So how was that transition for your life? It was like I said, living just a normal life, doing what you do, to having to make that transition, dietary, physical activity, things of that nature.
Well, it was a huge change, a huge change. Because when I got out of the hospital, um, I left the relationship I was in because there was no support there, like for me and my health struggle. So I left and I moved into my mom's house, and it was kind of like it was easy to make the changes because it was so scary, and it was like I almost died, so I have to do this. So I immediately, cut out, like I said, like soda and junk food and fast food, which was like a big part of my diet before. So I completely cut that, and I started reading a lot about all of my disease, about lupus, about everything and what I needed to do. I completely changed my diet, started eating like the autoimmune protocol, and considered like veganism. And I started meditating and became more spiritual, and also healing myself mentally, not just physically, and reading into a lot of things about like your kidneys, and also like I've looked into so many different things like Chinese medicine and how they believe your kidneys hold fear. And I've had Reiki done. I do meditations for, healing your kidneys, and I do yoga. I need to start doing, the transplant center told me I need to start lifting weights. So that'll be my next change. But yeah, my life has changed significantly. Everything's changed. My whole outlook on life has changed.
It sounds like it changed for the better, with all the things
Yes.
you're doing now, which is
Yeah.
really good. And this is another thing. One of the things you said that's really really important is meditation, quieting your mind. That's big, and I'm a big meditator, and I truly believe it. And when I hear people say they don't have time for it, that's the main person that needs to quiet their mind. At least 5 minutes a day or something like
Yeah,
that.
start small.
Start
Yeah.
small. Exactly. I agree with that. Another thing is when you say fear, you have to understand when it comes to kidney disease, the adrenaline gland, renal gland sit right on top on those kidneys. And when you start stressing, when you start having those challenges with what's going on, that cortisol floods those kidneys. And that could be
Yes.
a real challenge. That's why we have to keep ours free. When you get in a bad relationship or whatever, I'm not telling nobody what to do and nothing like that, but whatever's going on, try to keep your stress down as low as possible. Just let me just say that. That's one of the biggest things that can cause the autoimmune system, any of these diseases we got. Mine is glomerulonephritis, which is real close to, what you guys have. It's really right there. Those same type of autoimmune diseases that can, that's why I'm a big proponent of keeping the stress down. Staying positive as possible, being happy, and just trying to flow with life, opposed to trying to combat everything and why me and be all upset about what's going on. And that's
Yeah.
another thing, Kristen. I'm glad you found people that can support you and that that you're going through it as well. When I was 18, I was playing college football when I got sick, and you got to understand, coming from a college area, college football, where all the dudes is healthy and big and strong, and it's all machoism, to getting sick. Wasn't too many people, and I was 18 years old at the time. Wasn't too many people that help me, tell me nothing. So I had to really really look for try to find as much information as I could. And you got to understand, this was in the 80s. I'm an old man, so it was a long time ago, for real. So with that being said, I'm glad they got social media. I'm glad we got things out here that can help people and support people. So that's very important. Go ahead,
Yes.
Phil. Are you muted?
He's totally
You might
muted
have lost
again.
your gift.
Yep, I was muted again. My
Oh,
bad.
okay.
So like I was telling was cool. We was on break. Go ahead and ask whatever questions you have. I'm behind. I don't want to ask questions twice, especially if things have already been touched on. So, it's good. You have any more questions? Go ahead.
Well, this goes out to Alex. Alex, how are you doing with your exercise or with your nutrition and things like that right now?
It got a lot better, honestly. I mean, there were some stretches of time where like I just kind of got fed up with it, and I was not making great choices. I'll be honest with you. But like my fiance has been a really good support, and she's doing a meal plan, a health and wellness program for herself, where she's lost in 90 days 35 pounds.
Oh
Oh,
man,
wow.
congratulations!
So yeah, so she's doing really well, and so with that, like I can't. What her program calls for, all the things that I can't eat everything that she's making, just because of phosphorus and some of the things that it has in it that I can't have. So I know that, but like we do have this one meal we call a lean and green, where it's a lean protein of sorts of a fish, chicken, pork, you name it, and then a big portion of a green, can be whatever green you want it to be. Um, and we've been able to make some amazing meals over the last couple of months at dinner. Like tonight, we're doing a Thai basil pork meal with cauliflower rice. And so
sounds good.
Yeah, it's really, we've made it before. We love it. And so, so I've been doing really well with that. And then on Tuesday evenings, I've been going for the last year. I've been taking a Zumba class at the local YMCA. And so that's been really a lot of fun too. And I have 2 left feet. So I go in knowing I can't dance and have no rhythm, but I just go and have fun and listen to the songs and dance. And the group is so supportive. They know that I can't dance, but they still have fun with me and enjoy it. And that's what matters. It goes back to what you're saying, Chris, about the support. Like even outside the kidney community, like to know that, like, I was talking with my Zumba instructor last night, actually, and she said, she knows me through social media in addition to me being in her class, but she was like, if I didn't know your story through social media and knowing you need a kidney, I would never thought you carry yourself so well, and you carry yourself with such like calm and zen and relaxing, and the kind of what we were talking to figure what you're talking about before about how, it's important to like really just leave the stress out the door, like throw it out the window and like don't deal with like, I think it's okay to have the stress because I think you don't want to be fake, right. But at the same time, you don't want to sit in it for a long time.
Right.
I give myself like 10 seconds. I give myself 10 seconds of like to deal with it. If it's crappy, it's really going to hit me really bad. I'm going to take all those feelings, right? I do a lot of micro journaling. So I do like small little.
I do a lot of journaling. Yeah.
And so I've done that. And so I've done meditation as well, and I've done, I can't get into yoga. My fiance loves yoga. I just can't get into it. So I do Zumba with her. So we do Zumba together, and then, that's really a lot of my exercise right now. But I've lost probably in the last month and a half, probably about 10 or 15 pounds. So I could stand to lose more, but I'm getting better. And, like I said, if this kidney comes here soon, then, I'm going to continue to, just do it. But yeah, my nutrition's gotten a lot better. The meals are good, and like I'm trying to do a lot. Like the weather, of course, it's winter time right now, so we're in January, and in Kentucky it's pretty cold. So like we had a crazy winter storm where it was like -5 degrees over Christmas, and then by Friday of that same week it got to 60 degrees. So like the jump in temperatures, it's crazy. So getting outdoors isn't as ideal sometimes, just because of the weather changes is really not predictable. But yeah, I mean, I've come a long way. I think there's always room for improvement. I mean, I definitely know I could do more. My son, my 7-year-old, he is a soccer player. And so watching him play soccer and being involved with his soccer stuff at school has been really a lot of fun too, as well.
Awesome. That's good to hear, man. Glad you're thriving. That's what I would say. You're thriving for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Phil, I don't have any more questions, but I just want to say thank you to the both of you guys. It's pretty phenomenal to have you on the show. We really appreciate it. I don't know where you are, Kristin, but it looks pretty sunny outside where you are. Where are you located at?
I am in Galt, California, and it does look sunny, but it's actually storming, and it's raining pretty bad.
That's funny.
It's been raining for like a good week out here.
Really?
Yeah, it's been raining pretty hard. Yeah. Flooding like crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Tampa's beautiful right now. I can't even act like it ain't. It's gorgeous.
It's always beautiful in Tampa. It can be raining and it's still beautiful. I was like, I remember when Cook first got there, he was like, "Yeah, man, it's raining." And then like 7 hours later, he was like, "I'm gonna go take the kids to the pool." I'm like, "How does that work exactly?"
I know.
You're losing me with that one.
It stays warm no matter what, man. It's tropical here. Like you can go outside. If you start walking, you're gonna start sweating because it's humid always. That's one thing I do like because I stay cold all the time, so I do like the humidity that we do have here. So it's pretty cool.
Are you anemic, Cook?
Not now, but I still stay cold with the kidney. I don't know, man. I just stay cold.
I stay cold all the time too.
Yeah, I am always cold. My fiance is the opposite, so she's always hot.
Yeah.
So like,
my wife is always hot. My wife,
she's always hot. He's like, "Why are you like?" She's like, "I put on layers. Like it'll be 80 degrees, and I'm still needing a jacket." And I mean, I'm always cold. This was even before dialysis. Like, I think during my transplant I was cold, and then like even more now that I'm on dialysis. Like today at dialysis I was freezing, but I mean it was also it's cold. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like that pre-transplant. I was always cold. Like my dad used to always be like, "Man, why you got that sweater on? It's like 80-something degrees outside." I got on jeans and everybody else got on shorts.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way, man. Totally.
Stuff.
Oh yeah,
But
same way.
Post-transplant, even now without my kidney, I'm still a little like when it's cold, it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I definitely can feel it. But now I'm a little bit more on the warmer side for some odd reason.
Okay.
So I don't know how that works. But yeah, like Mr. Cook said, man, we appreciate both of you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Definitely.
You two have to get back to work and get things done. So we won't hold you too longer. Next week we'll have a group from Kidney Solutions on to talk about the things that they're doing within their organization and reasons they can offer people in the kidney world as well. We'll have Kent on, Uncle Jim, Jonathan Traylor,
Nice.
and Shannon on that group of Kidney Solutions joining us. And then the week after, we'll have Martin. We'll have Mr. Martindale on with us. That is the CEO and founder of Kidney for Kids. He is a living kidney donor, and he is on a objective going on 48 city tour to find 100 kidney donors for kids.
Cool.
So we'll have him on to speak about his journey and what he's planning on accomplishing this year for these kids. So again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for watching in the future. Please comment, like, subscribe. We definitely appreciate it for sure. And we will see you all next Wednesday, same new time, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Pacific time. We'll see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank
See ya.
you.